This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
I'd like to punch him in the face. Is he crazy, or is that just the way he acts?
Boris Johnson has defended his role in the resignation of Kim Darroch, Sir Kim, claiming his remarks in a televised debate had been misrepresented. Oh, really? They'd been misrepresented, he said to the former ambassador to Washington. I believe that we have misunderestimated Boris Johnson, as George Bush used to say.
Absolutely.
You know, it seems a bit weird, doesn't it, that we now think back at George Bush's tenure in the White House as the epitome of presidential.
I'm president! Can you believe it?
No, we're still stunned. I mean, comparatively speaking. So Boris Johnson said that he didn't say what we saw him on television actually saying. He's not just a person that looks like Donald Trump or has the same hair technician as Donald Trump, has the same svelte physique as Donald Trump. I think he might actually be Donald Trump. Have you ever seen Boris and Donald in the same room together?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Sir Kim quit his post on Wednesday after Donald Trump threw his toys out of his pram when he didn't receive enough flattery from someone. And that's just true, isn't it? That's exactly what just happened. Oh, my God. Boris Johnson, challenged repeatedly about the issue in an interview with the BBC's Andrew Neil, denied that he failed to support Darroch in Tuesday's ITV leadership debate. Denied it, he did. And by the way, we will know that we will be approaching, if not have complete equality between the sexes, when someone as old and frightening looking as Andrew Neil manages to be on television while also being a woman. Name me one woman. Okay, Anne Widdecombe, but she's not a presenter. Name me one woman that looks anything as frightening as Andrew Neil. No offence. I mean, he looks like somebody who just crawled out of a Star Wars bar. Boris Johnson, challenged repeatedly about the issue, said, oh, no, I didn't. It weren't me. I ain't done nothing, or words to that effect. I mean, if only there was a recording of that Tuesday TV debate so we could check. Oh, wait, that's right, there is. Except that no one's interested in facts anymore. If you say you're not doing something, even while you're actually doing it, enough people will believe you so that you can get away with it. Which people?
I love the poorly educated.
Those people. We're all living in Donald Trump's world now. What a way to run a planet, eh?
Dreadful.
Boris said, I stood up completely for the principle that civil servants should be allowed to say what they want for their political masters without fear or fervour. No, you didn't. You didn't do that. He said the real culprits are the people who leaked the material. Which is exactly, it weren't me, I ain't done nothing. You're supposed to be leading by example, Boris. It's not like you're doing a Mickey Mouse job, like being London Mayor, for instance, with apologies to the Disney Corporation. Why do we refer to things that aren't done very well as being Mickey Mouse? Because wasn't Mickey Mouse tremendously successful in all of his endeavours? I think he probably was. You know, much like Donald Trump.
I've been successful in every business I've been in.
So, Boris said, I stood up completely for the principle that civil servants should be allowed to say what they want for their political masters without fear or fervour. He said the real culprits were someone else. It weren't me. I ain't done nothing. He said, unfortunately, what I said during that TV debate was misrepresented to Kim. Really? So I thought, well, I wonder if there's a record of what Boris Johnson actually said. You know, all the way back on last Tuesday. Fortunately, there is. Here's how the debate was written up in the Daily Mail just after it went out. Boris Johnson has refused to guarantee that he would keep Sir Kim Darroch as the UK's ambassador to the US if he becomes the next Prime Minister, after Donald Trump said he would no longer deal with Britain's man in Washington. I've got the Americans' take on all this in a bit. Amongst all the fire and fury that's been going on in this country about it, I think it's quite instructive just to cool down, take a step back, and see how the rest of the world's looking at this. Boris Johnson repeatedly dodged the question over Sir Kim's future last Tuesday, which is the exact opposite of what he is now telling us happened. On the other hand, Jeremy Hunt, as in the sentence, "Who's Jeremy Hunt?" said, "I will be keeping him until he's due to retire, and I would think that we would, and I think that we would like to know if you would." What? I will keep him until he is due to retire, and I think we would like to know if you would, as in Boris. And Boris Johnson replied,
Yeah. Wait a minute.
or words to that effect. He said, "What I will say is I and I alone will decide who takes important, politically sensitive jobs such as the UK ambassador to the US, just as soon as Donald Trump tells me what to think." And here's what the very sensitive and polite resident of the White House said about Sir Kim. You know, this is the guy that threw his that spat the dummy out when he heard that somebody had been disrespectful to him. I mean, talk about kettle and pot. Trump tweeted, "The wacky ambassador to the UK foisted upon the United States is not someone we are thrilled with, a very stupid guy." We're being ruled by a 12-year-old now. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, you wouldn't give somebody with Donald Trump's temperament a spud gun, never mind about a nuclear weapon. What an absolute disgrace.
But I have a strong temperament, and it's a very good temperament, and it's a very in-control temperament. I have a very strong temperament, but I have a temperament that's totally under control.
He lied. Trump tweeted, "The wacky ambassador that the UK foisted upon the United States is not someone we, royal we now, are thrilled with, a very stupid guy." It's almost haiku-ish. He should speak to his country and Prime Minister May about their failed Brexit negotiation and not be upset with my criticism of how badly it was handled. So in other words, the only person on earth that can throw out criticism, that can spew bile like a garden hose, is Donald Trump. Anybody else tries it and, oh, blimey, you could hear the squeals from space. He says, "I told how to do that deal," as in Brexit. How are the negotiations going, by the way?
Disgusting.
Oh, that was wrong. Oh, it was so close. It could have been 100% right, but it was in fact 100% wrong. Never mind. Better luck next time. That's user error. He said, "I told her how to do that Brexit deal, but she went her own foolish way." This is him talking about the Prime Minister of this blooming country. "She went her own foolish way, was unable to get it done. A disaster! ! I don't know the ambassador, but have been told he is a pompous fool." Oh, wow. He must have been staring in the mirror when he came up with that one. One government source told the Mail Online that the US president's reaction demonstrated that Sir Kim's diplomatic telegrams were right on the money. Correct. He couldn't have been more right. Former Foreign Minister Sir Malcolm Rifkind, a close friend of Sir Malcolm Mifklind, and a close personal chum of Sir Kim, told the Mail Online that it was Mr. Trump who was wacky and strange. Wacky and strange. "It's the pot calling the kettle black," the Tory grandee said. "I don't know Kim Darroch well," he said, "but I cannot think of anyone less wacky and less strange." Well, he looked like a total bore to me, which is the very antithesis of wacky and strange. You don't want to send somebody wacky and strange to a foreign country, even if it is being run by somebody who is wacky and strange.
Oh, shut up!
So, he said, "I can think of some people for whom that description would fit perfectly. One of them lives in the White House." Sir Malcolm said, "Trump's tweets have been going on for 2 years now. Most of America ignores most of them. There's no reason why we shouldn't as well. I think it would be probably beneficial to the planet if we just started ignoring him more." Can you imagine anything that would get him more riled up? clenching his weirdly small hands together till they bleed if people start ignoring him. Here's another grandee. Lord Heseltine said that the comments showed the pro-Brexit MPs were living in a fool's paradise if they believed the UK could strike a fair future trade deal with Donald Trump. And just to remind you, Jeremy Hunt said, ambassadors are appointed by the UK government, and if I become PM, our ambassador stays. Boris Johnson, on the other hand, refused to give an assurance over the ambassador's position, siding with the tangerine scream in the White House against this country. And then he went on television and said, "Oh no, I didn't." Truly, we are taking back control from the democratic institution of the neighbouring European Union and giving it to a demented, whining, dictatorial toddler 3,000 miles away. I don't think Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Yeah, by the way, still waiting on seeing one of those model buses that Boris spends most of his time when he's not off for chasing Totty. Can't wait to see your collection, Boris. We'll no doubt wait for ages, and then 3 will come at once. Get some of your people on that, because someone's bound to ask where they are. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
He's a great guy. He's a good guy. He's a good person.
Thanks, Donnie. You're the best. This anonymous message says, I checked out of my hotel this morning after 11 weeks and 1 day, so that cost me £3,510. What's that got to do with anything? Am I hallucinating, or is this real life? Does that make any sense at all in the relation to this programme?
No.
Let's have a call in Austria. Hello, Craig.
Sir, how are you?
I am great, mate. Where are you?
I'm in Austria, of course.
Yes, I know I said that, but it's a big place.
Well, I live just south of Vienna.
Ah, beautiful, I bet.
Yes, it is, of course.
Right.
So, do you want to ask me a question?
Yes, is it
Or shall I
boring?
ask you?
It'll be beautiful but boring, I bet.
Well, my question is, if I'm going to... Well, you didn't ask me, so I'm asking you.
No, I am. That is a question. Beautiful but boring, I bet. Is it?
Well, in Austria, of course.
Yeah.
Chilled.
Chilled.
Um,
Chilled,
Boris
as
is
in
not actually born.
D-U-L-L, boring. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Boris, where was Boris born?
I don't know. Get his mother on the phone.
He was actually born in New York.
Right.
He's not British.
Well, British-ish.
Yeah, well, come on.
He's from here, there, and everywhere, baby. What's your point?
Yeah. Well, my point is that I mean, if you want to, if you want to play the conspiracy theory, he's not British.
No, I don't want to play the conspiracy. He's not British. What? So he's a mole?
Well, he's not British.
Yeah, but what's your conclusion from that?
My conclusion
statement?
is that if you want to play the whole game of Trump and all that, he's not British.
Right. Okay, so that's 3 ways now you've said the same thing, and it still doesn't make any sense. Do you want another go at it?
Okay. Well,
Gosh, I was hoping you were going to say no.
How can you be the Prime Minister of Great Britain
Right.
when you're not born there? Come on.
If you're not great or British.
Well, British is cool, but if you're not born there, how can you be British?
Right. Okay. So,
Fair point.
So you spend much of your time in near Vienna, just ruining that you ever left anywhere as exciting and go-ahead as Great Britain.
Well, I spend all my life basically listening to LBC.
Right. Okay, well, good work. Thanks a lot, Craig. Cheers for your support. On behalf of us all, may I say we appreciate it. This Matthew says the reason that Trump is so dangerous is because there's no such thing as a deterrent to a madman. Well, you can ramp up the shouting, and it doesn't really get you anywhere. This says, my prediction next week, Nigel Farage will say that in Nigel Farage's opinion, Nigel Farage would be an excellent UK ambassador to the US, says Milan.
I'm a nutcase.
I'm not sure that Nigel has the time to fit in another job. He is working his Union Jack socks off. You know, he's got all that important business over at the EU Parliament where he bowls in for 10 minutes and does one of his YouTube video stunts, fills out his expenses form, and then bowls right back out again. There's that. Here's a call in Wanstead. Hello, Sophie.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
Gosh, I'm struggling on for a week and a half. School holidays haven't started yet.
Right, so you got another week and a half.
Yes.
Of solid work between the hours of 10 and 3.
9 and 3.
And then you get to go on holiday for 15 weeks.
Stop whining.
Well, having worked in schools for so long now, I've realised this isn't a 6-week holiday. This is a 6-week recovery program.
Really?
It's a decompression chamber. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what do you spend most of your time in class doing? Don't tell me. Dodging bullets.
No, I do the literacy intervention, so I help them with their English.
You do literacy and convention, did you say?
Intervention.
What does that mean?
The ones who need a little bit of extra help.
Oh.
I pull them out of class.
Yes.
To be corrected.
Now, would it make your life easier if you could actually correct the kids?
No, I absolutely adore working with my pupils.
Yeah,
and they are probably...
Well, yes, but be honest, though. Wouldn't it be probably in their best interests if you just thrashed them every now and again? Perhaps for no reason whatsoever, just to instill the fear of God in them.
Absolutely not.
Is that a yes?
Violence is not the answer. That's
but
a no.
I'm not talking about anarchy. I'm talking about organised violence.
Well, when they're surrounded by the people they're surrounded by, some of the children who are a little bit...
Wow, you just blown my mind. When they're surrounded by the people they're surrounded by. Yes.
Is it any...
Don't talk too fast. I'm trying to keep up.
They just need to be understood a little bit.
Understood. Right.
Mm.
I've got no idea what that means. What do you mean by understood? Well, you have to accept their every screaming rant? You have to explain to some of those kids that they're not the President of the United States of America, you know.
You are going to love President Trump.
My people's IQ is much higher than theirs. They're definitely not the President of America, I can assure you that.
Right.
But
you've taught the children well.
It takes a village, Nick. It takes a village. But just when you think it couldn't get any funnier, he's turning out to be comedy gold.
Who is?
Because Trump.
No, I think that ship sailed. I think he used to be... No, I mean it. I think he used to be comedy gold, but now we're sort of immune. We've become inured to his kind of ridiculous side, and the really nasty unpleasantness is becoming more visible as we're stripping away the comedy. I think he's becoming less funny and more just kind of alarming, really.
You may have a point. Do you mean his real, true self is coming out?
Well, it's always been his real, true self. It's just that we've never had anybody quite as out of control as him.
It has gotten totally out of control.
Leading a country. And so it's like we're pressurizing ourselves.
You referred to his small hands, and I think now I'm thinking maybe it's just as well they're small, because he can't reach out for the red button where everything goes nuclear.
I bet that somebody's taken the wires from the bottom of the red button and just disconnected them.
Absolutely, and what I cannot understand is that he criticises our ambassador for criticising him, and then he does exactly the same about our Prime Minister.
Yeah. Right,
and
yes.
that is...
Yes. Exactly.
That's the definition of irony and the paradox.
Oh, well, those are 2-syllable and 3-syllable words there, Sophie. So you're wasting your time throwing those at him.
You passed my class, Nick. But it is absolutely horrendous and alarming that this man should be running such a powerful...
what is even more alarming is that our next Prime Minister seems to have capitulated before him. I mean, we didn't even put up a fight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's really ironic as well is that he gets on with one Kim and not the other one.
Donald Trump loves dictators because he wants to be one himself. You know when he was joshing with Vlad the Insaner about killing journalists? Oh, yes, it's very funny. I get to kill journalists in my country. Oh, I totally love to do that here. You know, I mean, is that not alarming enough? I mean, I think we can put funny away.
I think actually, sadly, you may have a point. I don't give out this title very often, but I really sincerely mean it. He is an idiot of the first order.
I think that's praise, actually, for the first order. How about the second order?
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Yeah, he's not on the winning podium even of stupid.
And
but you know, these are insults. We probably shouldn't engage with insults because otherwise he might insult us.
They're not insults. They're not fake news. They're facts.
It's just true.
They're not opinions.
Right.
They're facts.
I understand. Okay.
But and I think he insulted our country by saying, "Oh, it was really the Queen I was here to visit." How much?
Well, he
money
said he was more.
He
said he was more impressed with the Queen. I wonder if the feeling is mutual. We'll never know because the Queen never says anything about anything, which is why she's so popular. If only Donald Trump never said anything about anything, he'd be popular too.
Absolutely. How much money did the British taxpayer spend on the policing that was needed to protect that lunatic? It drives me insane just thinking about it.
Okay, well, don't take it out on the kids.
I never would do that, Nick.
All right, thanks a lot, Sophie. Enjoy your 6 months holiday or whatever it is that teachers get these days. Blimey, you think that politicians don't work much? Cue a tsunami of furious calls by teachers telling me that they work all the time. What do you think, Kanye?
Whoop-dee-dee scoop poop.
Exactly. Kath says Donald Trump and Bojo both need a literacy intervention. Sophie to the rescue. And Matt says it's funny when Obama intervened in the EU referendum, he was told to keep out by the Leave Brigade. But they encouraged Trump to interfere and attack May's handling of the negotiations. They are totally undemocratic, says Matt. It is a bit ironic, ain't it? That on the one hand, people will just fulminate and go boggle-eyed with fury at a foreign president interfering with our business if they don't actually agree with everything that he says. But if they do, oh, well, you can interfere away. No problem. You're saying a lot of smart things, Mr. President. There's nothing democratic about it. It seems to be the opposite of democracy. I'll get into that in a minute. Also, there's the view from America about this whole thing that's just happened as well from a newspaper in Washington, which I think is quite illuminating. 0345 6060 973, text 84850, email nick@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. It's 10:30, the news headlines with Serena Farrow.
Scotland Yard.
Well, the whole world's gone crazy.
David in Welwyn Garden City says, try working as part of the site team for a school. School holidays, what are they, says David. Hey, David.
Stop whining.
This says, why are news presenters so scared of reading out Jeremy Hunt's name? Just as well, I'm not running for PM, says a man who shares Jeremy Hunt's family name and whose given name is Mike. Mike in Greenford says, is Boris slowly morphing into a Trump clone? The cockatoo-like hair, the constant denial of what we have all heard him say, the foot always in the mouth. All we need to do now is look for his shrinking hands. I've never actually examined his hands in great detail, but I'm imagining podgy. What do you say, Boris?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
He says, all we need to and keeping away from Twitter, he said, for all our sakes, says Mike in Greenford. This says, have you seen that girl in Love Island asking, what is Brexit? I wish I was stupid and good-looking instead of just stupid, says Lucas. No, I have not seen Love Island, for crying out loud. Stop watching that stuff. I promise you, if you stop watching it, they'll stop making it. That is absolutely guaranteed. Love Island. I think that the makers of Love Island must have some kind of deal with the people who write mid-market tabloid, and down-market tabloid newspapers. I bet even the Telegraph is splashing the news on the front page. Telegraph used to be a serious newspaper. You remember back that far? Love Island. They're not going to have sex on television. You're never going to see it. This says, have you seen that girl in... Oh, no, I've read that. This says, ha, 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 ha. The caller from Austria is funny in a surreal way. I live in London. I'm going to Penryn to view flats because I'll be moving there soon. None of the estate agents has said yes to my request to be driven around. It is really in the middle of nowhere. I do not drive, and it just is not nice. I don't know, maybe I've slipped into a coma. Maybe this is all not real. I certainly hope so. Holborn, Tony.
Hi, Nick. I wasn't actually phoning you, but I got a call back. I was sending you a text, because I normally only phone you at Christmas for your A to Z.
Oh, on Jesus' birthday.
So this is the first time I've called you. And that guy who was talking about Boris being born in New York, that is quite true.
Yeah.
But he can become a British Prime Minister. Now, the text I was going to send you was, it was a bit educational.
Oh, well, thank goodness you didn't do that then.
Well,
we don't need no education.
We don't need it. But as a point of fact, rather for his information rather than yours, the only British Prime Minister in history to be born outside the UK was Andrew Bonar Law, and he was born in Canada. I actually run a quiz every month, and this question crops up. I kind of do a lot of trivia and stuff. That's how I knew it. I'm not actually very educated. I just happen to know that as a fact.
Well, what's the difference between knowing a lot of facts and being educated? It's the same thing, ain't it?
Yeah, so anyway, so you can tell that guy, I don't know what his name was, that Andrew Bonar Law was actually born in Canada because his parents, I think his dad was in the army, and he was born over there, came over here, and he became a British Prime Minister. How meaningful what I've just said is, I don't know.
Yeah, well, as it's a history lesson, I stopped listening halfway through. I hope you don't mind.
No,
I've been staring out the window, waiting for double football.
Well, he may find that fact interesting, and he can look it up. It is completely true, right. Even though you might have dismissed.
Well, if only there was some way of discovering facts. Somebody should really invent that. Some sort of screen-based way.
It's not about... No, a lot of people say it's not facts now, it's just feelings.
Yeah, so we're all about feelings now, baby. Yeah.
It is completely feelings, and it's also these trademark sayings where people just spurt out a couple of 2 or 3 words, which actually... Three
is the best. If you can distill it down to 3 words, 4 at the absolute outside, then people can just remember it and keep repeating it over and over again. And they use it like a cudgel, like a weapon. You can't talk to them. Like the Terminator.
Affirmative.
You can't talk to them. You can't reason with them, and they never will stop ever.
And the proof of that, what you've just said, the proof of that is actually if you look at advertising slogans where they're kind of brief, they're to the point, and they're usually 2, 3 or 4 words. Like,
exactly.
I can't think one off the top of my head.
Like lock her up or build the wall. Make America great again. That's as long as you want to make it.
Say, if you think of products on the market, a lot of them, the slogans are quite clever, and they're just 3 or 4 words usually.
Very, very easy to remember. Like lips,
very easy to remember.
Like lips, smacking thirst, quenching ace, tasting, motivating good, buzzing cool, talking high, walking fast, living ever, giving cool, fizzing Pepsi. Wow, I haven't seen that advert on television for about 40 years, and I can remember off the top of my head. Bizarre?
Oh, I just thought of one, Nick. I just thought of one that's come into my head. Beans means Heinz.
Yeah, I prefer mine.
Well, yours is more than 4 words or 3 words, but
I suppose so. But very, very memorable.
It does work, and I think it's easy for people just to latch on
remember and repeat. Yes, rather than take on board facts and come to an informed opinion.
Rather than have to read a whole load of stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, it's kind of lazy to do that, but that's how it seems to be more or less these days.
Well, we're all lazy.
Well,
so it fits us perfect.
Not all of us.
All of us are lazy.
Well, the politicians, they have to do some research.
No, they can get their people to do that. They just present them with a précis. Here, Tony, it's been a delight. I'll talk to you at Christmas, okay?
I'll talk to you at Christmas.
Okay, ta-da. 0345 6060 973. Carl in Dudley says, Trump doesn't have small hands. He just tends to stand in a way that makes them further away than he is. It's perspective. It's perspective, says Carl in Dudley. Yeah, too much bleeping perspective. This says, Boris is like my ex-husband, a charming, charismatic, sociopathic liar who lives in his own fantasy world and gets away with it and leaves a trail of destruction in his wake. Why are so many people taken in by him? I despair for our country, says that anonymous missive. I'm on the borderline of despairing too. And he's about to be given to us as our next leader, and not for the first time in recent memory either. We're taking back democracy and giving it to a whining baby in the White House. Martin in Rotherhithe. Oh, here we go. It didn't take long. He says, you lot make me laugh when you do, you Trump haters. I'll just read it as it's written. You lot make me laugh, you do, you Trump haters. Oh, I get it. I mean, come on. He's put more people into work, more women in the White House. Yeah, probably better not to go there. I think the lawsuits are still pending.
I cherish women.
Yeah, sure you do. He says he's put us at the front of the queue after Brexit. He's not started any wars. He's on good terms with North Korea and Russia. You make me laugh, you Trump haters. You preach love and his hate, said Martin in Rotherhithe. Yeah, there's no indication that Donald Trump will take us to war.
I'll bring us into war.
Apart from, his every movement and his every appointment. Let's have a call in Preston. Paul.
Hello, Nick.
Paul.
All right. Caught me on the hop a bit when he called me back just then.
Oh, shall I put you on hold?
Nick.
I can...
No.
Okay, then.
Please. No, I'm a massive fan of yours, Nick.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, and so I was just thinking what you thought about Nigel Farage with this thing where he wants to fire all the remainers out of the military and out of the civil service.
What? He didn't say that, did he?
He did, yeah. You could Google it. Get your assistant to Google it. He did. You said that a couple of days ago.
Nigel Farage says he wants to fire all non-believers from the army.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah.
I'm trying to get in my phone and it doesn't recognise me. It's my finger. It's got fingerprint sensors. Try again, it says. Try. It's going to lock itself down in a minute. It doesn't recognise my face. It doesn't recognise my finger. Maybe it's not my phone. Right. Okay. Farage. And what did he say?
He wants all the remainers in the civil service and the military removed from office. Seriously, it's unbelievable.
Well, maybe that's what Donald Trump told him to say. Nigel Farage calls for anyone anti-Brexit to be removed from the civil service or the military. You're completely correct in every respect. Oh, my God, it just gets worse and worse. As Nigel goes from strength to strength, the more worrying his rhetoric becomes, says. This is a story in The Independent. Wow. The Independent, still a thing? He says, our likely future Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has today been roundly slated for his non-committal answer to whether he supported Britain's now former US Ambassador Sir Kim, whose professional assessment of Trump's administration was inept. It was leaked, drawing the POTUS unpredictable wrath. Well, it's not unpredictable at all. It's entirely predictable. If you don't hose him down with the flattery, then Donny gets grumpy. He says, while thankfully still resigned to the realms of possibility labelled in a galaxy far, far away, given the collapse in popular... a caller named Jelko asked Nigel Farage on this station to clarify comments that it was crazy to have a Remainer as a US ambassador, Does it mean, if we are Brexiting, that every civil servant, every ambassador, even the head of the army or the head of the navy, would they have to be replaced if they are Remainers? Is that democracy, Nigel? And Nigel backtracked on the military, because we very rarely hear or know what their political opinions are, but doubled down on his comments, saying that in over 20 years, every single Foreign Office official that he's met has been pro-EU. Well, maybe they're not pro-EU. Maybe they're just anti-you, Nigel. And why would that be?
I'm a nutcase.
Maybe, yeah. Well, it's an opinion. This is an opinionated station. You can call him and correct him anytime you like.
It's an absolute... And what about Trump choosing our ambassador?
Well, yeah, that is kind of embarrassing. Yeah, Trump is further than that. He's actually chosen our next prime minister. I mean, what other leader of a country barges into this one and says, "I'd prefer to have that guy as your next leader"? And all the right wingers just give him a round of applause. Oh, thank you for your timely intervention, Boris. If Barack Obama had done that, they'd be crawling the walls.
I can't believe people are falling for it.
I can't believe it either. It's a certain section of the population that are falling for it, and they're defined in a particular way.
I love the poorly educated.
Bingo. 0345. Thanks, Paul. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
He with Nick Abbott.
What in places goes on inside that head of yours?
Best not ask. This says, from DC in Hearts, it says, Trump calling our ambassador a fool is beyond laughable, coming from the man who thinks the American War of Independence was won with the 17th century Air Force. What an utter, very bad word beginning with C. This said, if Boris Johnson becomes PM, will he actually have the keys to number 10 in his pocket, just in case he gets home late at night? Says D in Tulse Hill. I'm looking forward to the moment when his girlfriend throws his clothes out the window. And this says, you still haven't talked about Boris and his model bus making hobby, says Jim. Yes, I have, Jim. That is misinformation. Liar! I've asked to see evidence of such a thing. Has anybody actually seen one?
No.
I mean, if it's his hobby, he must have loads. I mean, it can't take a grown-up very long to do that, can it? I suspect this is something that he's mentioned before. I make buses out of crates. I bet as a child he once did that, and then ever since, when anybody's asked him what his hobby is, he runs through all of the things that he likes to do. You know, gaze at himself in the mirror, cherish women.
I cherish women.
That kind of thing. And but none would pass muster as an answer to an interview question, so he just goes back to that, something he did as a 3-year-old. I make buses out of crates. I mean, if he does as an adult, can you imagine how many he must have? A huge number. Can't wait to see him. Enfield, hello, John.
Hello, Nick. I'm here, alive and kicking.
Where?
Where? Anywhere you want me to be.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to kick, but anyway, that's it, by the way. But the thing is, the reason I'm ringing is that I think I've been listening to Hunt and Bojo, as you call him, and so on, and it's absolutely ridiculous. As far as MPs go, they talk round in circles. That's how they get away with it.
Well, maybe they're drunk. I mean, we've learned this week again how much of our money they spend on drinking.
Exactly. But the thing is, what I want to say principally is the fact what we ought to inaugurate, we want to do away with political parties and have a political college with people in it that have fully qualified of all qualifications right throughout industry and commodities and covering commodities, and have an anagram underneath that so that the public can enter and advise on.
An anagram?
Algorithm, sorry.
Oh, algorithms, right.
Algorithm,
that makes more sense.
Algorithm, the broadsheet.
Right, I don't know what an algorithm is. What's an algorithm?
What's an algorithm?
Yeah.
Well, it's a way of, if you've got an idea and so on, you know, you can either say yes or no, you see.
Is it this kind of rhythm?
They call it basic. You use basic. Are you still there?
Yes.
They call basic, and you compose a program.
Right. Oh, I don't like the sound of that.
Analyse the whole strata of political issues and so on.
Oh, strata.
Get lies. If you put lies into it, you'll get lies out.
Get lies out. Yes.
You'll get truth.
Bleep in, bleep out.
Yeah. Yeah, you think about that.
No, I'm not going to think about it. You can't make me. I don't want to.
I would like you to think about religion as well. I do remember a stanza that I wrote for the very
stanza?
Oh, my wife died.
You're not going to start quoting poetry at us now, are you?
Boring. Just one line.
Go on.
You know, right already. An empty chair, a silent room. I am here, and where are you? Are you in heaven or are you in hell? Nobody knows, nobody can tell.
Well, let's assume heaven.
Well, I assume that, of course, but, you know, my wife wasn't perfect, and neither am I.
Well,
but I try to be, but I always try to tell the truth.
Okay, well, try harder, John. I will try harder along with you.
Well, when I'm speaking to you, I tell nothing but truth. I don't lie.
Well, then you're on the wrong show.
Well, the thing is, are you saying that you're a liar?
Everybody disseminates misinformation all the time.
Well, do you do it all the time?
No.
Most of the time?
Which means yes.
Yes, you do.
Which, of course, means no. It's impossible to tell.
Well, in reality, it is. You're perfectly
reality.
correct there.
Yeah, I prefer not to go there.
The truth always ends up in the end. I can tell you this much, that when my wife died, I saw her at the side of the television set. That was 2 days after she died. And it was a premonition. Her face was like a red cushion.
Well, yeah, probably not, John. Was there a red cushion by the TV?
I turned off the television, and she came actually through the window.
Right.
And I think it's something to do with Higgs boson. Now
Get Higgs boson on the phone, and he's got a lot of explaining to do. Thanks a lot, John. I appreciate it. Whatever that was. 0345 6060 973. Mike in Greenford says, surely sacking all the Remainers in the civil service and the military would mean cutting 48% of each. Not the best recruitment drive. Well, at least 48%, that's right. Of course, if it was 48 to 52, then we'd have to get a recount. Ain't that right, Nigel?
We should have a second referendum.
This says, what has happened to our PM plans? What does that mean? It says, Sabiha, what has happened? Oh, to your PM plans. I don't know what that means. You mean my plans for the afternoon? I went to Folkestone this week. Which doesn't sound like a very nice place to go, does it? Just the word Folkestone, it just sounds, ugh. You think Folkestone?
Disgusting.
Awful. But it's not. Folkestone is great. When I go away, I don't go on holiday because, you can afford it, but I go on days out down to the coast. And I've never been to Folkestone before because it's, over that way. And it takes longer than an hour to get there. But it's definitely worth it. Folkestone is by far the best South Coast town I've been to. I should probably stop talking right now because a lot of people will start going there. Much, much better if you don't go. Leave it to us. But no, it's just, it's lovely. It's grand and it's clean. And did I mention grand and clean? And there's, almost uniquely, there's no road that goes down by the coast, so it seems very quiet and peaceful too, and it's not full of and I mean this with the greatest respect, ancient old crones. The Motability scooter people seemed to be noticeable by their absence, and they've got a big sculpture festival. I don't think it's actually a festival. I think it's a permanent exhibition. Hundreds of outdoor sculptures to go and peer at. And it's just lovely for as far as the eye can see. I thought it was great. Folkestone, you definitely want to go. Unless you don't, in which case, don't. Got nothing to do with me. Lucas says, the Boris thing with the bus is to confuse Google. Now when you Google Boris bus, you don't get the NHS thing anymore. You get the models story. Yeah, well, that is actually true about what you get. Whether he did it deliberately in order to effect that change, well, we'll never know. But he has mentioned that bus thing before, like I said, so I suspect that it was a thing he did once as a child and then just brings up every time anybody asks him what he does when he's not, chasing the ladies. And so on. Whatever else it is he does to occupy his time, impersonating Churchill, that kind of thing. Ding ding, hold tight. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. I'm going to talk about the American angle to this Kim Darroch British ambassador situation in just a moment. LBC.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yes, getting some positive comments about Folkestone. People saying that it really is tremendous. The harbour arm is excellent, but shut when I was there, mostly. I've never come across a restaurant that says, oh, no, Wednesdays? No, we don't open on Wednesdays. Well, do you open on Tuesdays? Oh, no, not Tuesdays. How about Mondays? Goodness me, no. What are you, insane? Of course we don't open on Mondays. It's like a part-time town. It was mostly it was shut. But that didn't prevent me from having a very enjoyable time. I thought it was lovely. I can't wait to go back. Unfortunately, I work at the weekend, and the weekend is when Folkestone is open. Sadly. They had, I've never seen this either. They had an outdoor screen, a huge jumbotron, and it was showing the tennis. And there was, I don't know, maybe 200 seats in front of it. And they had the big stereo sound, and it looked fantastic. There was one person watching it. One. And that person was asleep. It was a tremendous facility, but no one's there. Amazing place. It was like, you know those old space films where they let off a neutron bomb or some alien invader kills everybody but doesn't disturb the buildings? It was a bit like that. There was just no one there. I don't know if anybody actually lives in Folkestone. Maybe it was a figment of my imagination. Jen in Acton says, when Boris moves into number 10, will Larry the cat be staying? Well, we'll find out. Of course, cats can go and live anywhere they blooming well like, can't they? If I was Larry, I'd say, right, that's it. I'm leaving. What was that noise? Is there an electronic device in here? Because I've switched mine off, because I'm a good boy, I am. There was just a bleep. Did you hear that? In fact, there was a bleep at the very moment that I said alien invasion. Suspicious? Kinsella in Caversham says, by the time Boris becomes PM, do you think it likely that he'll have mastered the ability to tuck his shirt in? I mean, how old is Boris now? He's what, 70, 80 years old? If he hasn't managed it so far, then he ain't never going to manage it. 0345 6060 973. Oh, God, really? Really? Again? Stockton on Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yes, hello, Nick.
Now, I've discovered recently that you don't just call this show every time it's on. You call every show. All the time.
Yeah, but you're my favourite, you know that.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you tell me that now.
11 days till he takes over.
Yeah.
He's got the job.
Mm-hmm.
Just about.
Yeah, 11
and
days. 11 beautiful days before our imminent demise.
And he shoves that dud out the way, Theresa May. She was never going to deliver a proper Brexit.
Poor Mrs.
3 years. Over 3 years she had. But this bloke, he's coming in, and if he delivers Brexit in 3 months, October the 31st...
Yeah, he won't.
He's going to be a hero, isn't he?
No, he won't deliver it. He'll come up with some old flannel about, it'd be very, very difficult at the moment, and we really we can't move forward at the speed that we previously...
Why can't you believe what he's saying? He's told you, do or die, we leave on 31st of October.
Because he just went on television and told us that he previously didn't say what we'd seen him say on television. He doesn't appear to be a believable person.
Trivialities. You go about trivialities all the time. You're about him running about after women and that, his affairs and that. Everything is trying to bring him down. Now look, it is 2019, Nick. He never hit them over the club and dragged them back to his cave. Come on, are you a prude or what? Stop being prudish. It's 2019.
That has nothing to do with prudish. Don't skip over the part where he just told mistruth about saying that Darroch didn't leave because of what he did or did not say.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
The problem was Darroch. He was the wrong man in Washington.
No, he wasn't.
That was the problem.
No, he's not the wrong man in Washington. I mean,
he was.
No, he wasn't.
He was when he said that when it come out.
Yeah, but that wasn't for public consumption. That's what ambassadors say all the time.
Fault. That's not Johnson's fault. It's the one who leaked it. Now.
It was Boris Johnson's fault for not backing him. He should have stuck up for his country, but he didn't. He capitulated before the giant orange monster in the White House.
Because as soon as it come out, he was the wrong man in Washington. It's all right, Hunt saying he's the right man, but and Theresa May saying I would keep him, but he's the wrong man once he's done that. Can't you understand that, Nick?
No,
he's got to be replaced.
I do understand that, but that has nothing to do with it. You don't just... You don't...
It has nothing to do with it.
No, it doesn't.
No, you've got Sir Alan Duncan come straight out and said to Johnson, you've thrown him under a bus.
Yes.
Now, this Sir Alan Duncan, Theresa May got the job as MP. When she got the job, she brought him straight back. He was out in the cold, Alan Duncan. She brought him Arch Remainer. She brought him back and gave him a job overseas. The Europe and Americas. Now it's the same thing there, see. What Nigel Farage is saying is, they're supposed to be independent. Civil service jobs, they're supposed to be independent.
No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to raise a finger of objection here. Nigel Farage doesn't want people who are independent. He wants people who agree with him.
He wants a mixture.
No, he doesn't. I've just read out what he said.
We know he said that, but what he's saying is...
Oh, now, wait a minute. You're saying we know he said that, but when he said that, he didn't mean what he said.
All I'm saying is this. He hasn't got his own way, but we know all he says, it's jobs for the boys, Darroch, Duncans and all of them. Jobs for the boys. And
I don't know what that means, jobs for the boy. You mean jobs for the people who are most highly suited for the task? Is that what you mean? This Duncan, right? I mean, who would you prefer in that position?
Just a second. We'll go to Duncan. She'll give him a top job in America's trade and that, right? Now, this same Duncan is trying to bring his own party down. He's one of the 30. They're trying to deselect him in his constituency because... The vote, the thing is, the mandate was to deliver Brexit, and this bloke just wants to stay flog this Duncan. I don't know about Darroch, but he's supposed to be a big EU man as well. But anyway...
But that has nothing to do with his position. He's the ambassador to the United States of America. Whether he's an inner or an outer don't make no difference. That's not his job. You might as well say that he prefers country and Western music to rock and roll. That doesn't make any difference either.
The thing is, Nick, Darroch is gone. Forget about it. They're going to get somebody else. He was gone by Christmas anyway. But anyway, it became untenable, his position.
Yes, but don't you understand that that has nothing to do with it? The issue here is whether our next Prime Minister sided with this country or just fell down onto the floor and crawled across the carpet to gain favour with Donald Trump.
Anyway, he's going to take over on the 23rd, kick it out the way, and then he starts on the cabinet, doesn't he? Hammond's gone. Lidington today, 2,000 jobs. They're making it up as they're going along, aren't they? He come out, Hammond, for 90 billion over 15 years. Come on, Nick. This is far-fetched, isn't it? Come on. Finally
I know that in your version of
No, but it is a bit-
I know that in your version of Brexit,
No,
everything
but
is
Nick-
sunny uplands and
No, but Nick,
with
why
Tweety
can't we-
birds on the trees,
We-
and there'll
we've
always
got a
be
new-
jam and scone for tea.
No, but we've got a new Prime Minister coming in. Let's show a bit of optimism about things. You know, we tried 3 years trying to appease the EU. It didn't work. And now we're going to try a different way.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll find out, won't we, Brian? You call me back then, and and you'll try to pull success from the jaws of defeat. I betcha we ain't out at the end of October. But you'll find some way of excusing that, no doubt. I'll talk to you then. Josh says maybe Boris has £350 million painted in very tiny letters on the side of his homemade buses. Yeah, well, he would if he actually had any homemade buses, but we ain't seen them yet. Can't wait, Boris.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
John says, starting to see some potential for a remake of Notting Hill, but who could play BJ? I don't know what that means. Adam says, I'm genuinely puzzled. Well, so am I, Adam. Well, most of the stuff that's happened on this show so far. He says, I am genuinely puzzled as to whether Boris Johnson wears shirts with extra long sleeves or jackets with extra short sleeves. You know what? I bet his clothes actually cost a lot of money. I bet it costs an enormous amount of money to look that bad. But as I've said many times before, my money, were I a betting man, which I'm not, but if I were, I would bet a lot of money on Boris Johnson disheveling himself in the mirror by the front door before he leaves. See, most people comb their hair or like smooth their hair down and smarten themselves up a bit before they leave. But his act is, that kind of disheveled, slept in a skip routine. I bet he undoes himself just before leaving the house. Lawrence said, I can't believe you came to Folkestone and I missed it. You'll have to advertise your arrival next time. Hey, that's a good idea, isn't it?
No.
Yeah, it's a no from me. But I'm very much looking forward to going back. I mean, I've been to all of the main places to go on the south coast because it's the nearest bit to get to the sea from where I am. Brighton, of course, which is, it's all right.
Want to score some pot?
And then there's Bournemouth, which I haven't been to because it's too expensive to get there. It's £100 round trip for 2 people to go to Bournemouth. What? Why does it cost that much? No other destination that's that near costs that much to go there. Is it because the railways aren't actually the way they've been carved up isn't beneficial to the consumer? It's more beneficial to the people that are actually running the railways. It's just a series of monopolies. Yes, but it's better than Eastbourne. Of course, has its own delights. I mean, it's got Beachy Head and everything going for it up there. So Eastbourne is pretty hard to beat. But for the actual feel of the town itself, I'd say that Folkestone has got all of them beat. Folkestone is tremendous. And, I can't wait to go back. If only it opened during the week. Sadly, it's only open at the weekend, and I work during the week. During the weekend. So I can only see it when it's shut. 0345 6060 973. Oh, let me remind you about my podcast. It's not out. Nothing to do with me. I've done it. I came in to do the voice, to voice it. 30-mile round trip. I edited it up and spent an enormous amount of time on it. And then the only bit that I can't do, which is put it on the internet, is it's out of my hands and it's sitting on somebody's computer. I've got no idea. So I've done it, but it's not available. But the previous ones are. And it's you can find it on an internet near you. It's called The Nick Abbot Habit. If you get our app, then it's on there as well. Download Global Player app from your app store. And I mean, in amongst the very many delights that you will find on that excellent facility are podcasts. Scroll down to the Global Podcast and way over to the right and you'll find the Nick Abbot Habit there. It will, I expect, the new one will be out on Monday. And then from that day, coincidentally, it will then come out on Monday rather than Friday. I'll remind you more about that as we move along. But in the meantime, ask for it by name. The Nick Abbott Habit.
LBC. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
This is absolute tosh.
Christine says, instead of Folkestone, why don't you go to Stockton-on-Tees? No. Better still, with a very real fear that I might bump into Brian. He says, better still, come to North Yorks. It's great here. Not he, she. Christine. Well, it could be a he. Sexist. North Yorks. I've been to North Yorks and it is great there. Would you call the Yorkshire Sculpture Park North Yorks? Well, it's there or thereabouts. Yeah, the scenery around there is just absolutely fantastic. Lucas says, how pointless are these interviews with Boris and Jeremy? All the voters want to hear is, I'll put the EU in its place and leave with no deal. All these questions and debates, such a waste of time, says Lucas. That's not what all the voters want to hear. That is a very, very tiny, single-issue, obsessive minority of people who just hear the same refrain over and over in their minds. We just want Brexit, they say. Put the EU in its place. Oh, there's when you step back from our media and see how other countries see us, it's like a shot of reality. Too much bleeping reality. I'll come to that in a minute. First is a call in Enfield. Hello, Jackie.
Oh, hello, Nick. I'm not actually in Enfield today. I'm in Athens. I'm in Greece.
Oh, you're in Greece. Can you call us back when you get to Enfield?
No, but listen, I am sitting here. Look, the scenery is amazing, and having you is a double whammy. I'm quite angry. I'm quite angry at Boris Johnson. Yes, I am. Not with you. Not angry with you, Nick.
Carry
I love
on.
you.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that we're bowing to Trump. We're bowing to what he wants.
Yes. Capitulation, it's called.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that we had Barack Obama saying, "Oh, I think England should stay in the EU," and everybody attacked him.
They were freaking out.
But Trump says, "I don't like what he said about me, and I don't think I want to deal with him," and they made him resign. And then today,
the very same people who are arguing against the leader of a foreign country interfering in our affairs are standing up and giving a round of applause to a foreign leader interfering in our affairs. I mean, hypocritical? Yes. You betcha.
How does the Brexiteers don't want to be ruled by these bureaucrats, but we are being ruled by Trump. And we haven't even come out of the EU yet. Can you imagine what's going to happen when we do come out and we do deal with him?
He's going to stick us. He's going to stick us in Ivanka's handbag.
Yeah, he's
we'll
going to
be one of those little pet dogs.
Yeah. I don't understand how people can't see through this. That we are actually doing whatever Trump wants us to do.
It's not. I don't think it's really that people can't see through it. It's that the people who are hypnotised by him have joined a cult. It's not a political movement anymore. It is actually has the tinge of a religious cult.
Yes.
So don't ask for them. Don't ask for them to make any sense. Don't ask for them to act on evidence or anything like that. It's all about belief now, baby.
Yeah. And you know when you say about Boris going, you are absolutely right. In that debate, when they asked him a question, he was, and you think, what did he just say?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
He didn't really say anything.
That's his whole act, is not to say anything and to ruffle his hair and go, blah, blah, and then start quoting Greek and talking about ancient gods and all that. And by the way, did you know that I went to Eton? All that whole act that he does.
Yes. So I'm quite angry at the moment because I think that people No, I've
Well,
been angry
chill
for 3
out,
years.
Jackie.
3
Relax.
years.
You're in Greece. How could it get any better than that? What's the weather like in Greece at the moment, Jackie?
It's quite hot. It's not extremely hot, but it's nice hot. And I'm sitting on the balcony. Sorry, I don't want to make you jealous, but I'm sitting on the balcony with a glass of wine.
Yeah, okay. Well, we
and a
don't
Greek
wish to know that. Thank you.
Have you ever had a Greek souvlaki? The kebab?
No.
Well, you should sit on the balcony with a glass of white wine and a kebab, and you will be content. And you forget about Boris Johnson and Trump for a
Well,
while.
if it's a kebab, I think I'd need several glasses of wine before I approach it.
Then you eat meat.
No, I eat meat, all right. I just don't know what that meat is.
I know it's pork. It's pork.
Right. If you say
It's
so.
not one of these. Do you know what? It's not one of those that you don't know what they put in it.
Well, exactly. Okay, so if you're going to have a kebab, go to Greece first. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Jackie. Excellent advice. I'll have 2 kebabs. Hold the grease. Christine says, I don't know, I read that. Nick, the haircut doesn't seem to have done Boris any good. He still has the persona of a dishevelled buffoon who can't string 2 sentences together. Well, he's going to be our next leader. Can you believe it?
No.
The stuff that's happening, it's I just don't know anymore. It's beyond parody. Mario says, did you know that you can buy toilet paper with Trump's picture on it? They're selling it for cheap in Camden Town. I guess one can use it to make toilet paper great again. What do you think? I prefer not to think about that, Mario. But thanks anyway. I've been reading his poetry. Some smart... I was going to say smart Alec, but that's not appropriate at all. Some smart person put together quotes from Donald Trump and made them into poems, and it's actually very good. Somebody sent me that book, a book of Donald Trump's beautiful poetry. So whoever sent me that, thank you, appreciate it. 0345 6060 973. Here's Derbyshire, Tracy. That's what we said, or what you heard me say several moments ago, and she'll be with us in a second when she realises we're on a delay. Here she is, rushing to the phone, an ecstasy
Hello?
of fumbling. Yes, Tracy.
Hello.
You have to turn the radio down, Tracy.
Oh, I'm very, very, very sorry, Nick.
Well, how sorry are you, though, really?
Mega sorry,
Okay,
mega.
then, righto.
I don't know whether you remember me. I'm the one with the shoe shops at a very young age.
No, I don't.
But, well, typical.
Isn't it?
Typical. But anyway, when I first rang, I thought, I don't like him. And then I kept hearing you, and I loved your voice. I've just Googled you. And,
Wow, I wasn't even aware.
no, I love your voice.
Oh, I see.
You sound great.
Yeah.
You sound great.
Mm-hmm. Grate.
No. So you went to the coast. Did you go on your own or did you go with friends?
Well, what's that got to do with anything?
Because I'm nosy.
Well, I've already told you as much information as I'm prepared to divulge, Tracy. I told you where I've been. What more do you want?
Well, I want to know, did you go on your own?
Well, yeah, I heard
Are
that.
you the chap that Steve Allen's always on about with the old car?
Steve Allen does not talk about me. Steve Allen barely knows somebody of my diminished
You've
stature.
got the old car, haven't you?
Well, I do, yeah. Well, it depends what you mean by old. Is 20 years old? I suppose it is.
No, not really. That's
Not for a
quite young
person,
compared
but
to me.
not for a
That's quite
person,
young.
but it is a car.
Yes, I admire you for that.
You admire me
Keeping an
for
old
it.
car. Yes,
Well, there's
I
nothing
do.
admirable about it. It's just cheap, that's all. It's cheaper to keep an old car than it is to buy a new one.
Exactly, that's why I admire you.
Plus, old cars work better than new cars.
Yes, and they haven't got all this electronic stuff that
Correct,
I've got that has
Amundo.
driven me crazy.
That's right. You know, I was talking to somebody in the garage when I was having one of the problems fixed with my car, and he said, "You know, this old car of yours, like mechanics love it because it's got no electrics in it. It was invented before, or my car was made before the invention of electricity. Can you believe that?
No.
And so they can fix it with a hammer. They don't need to have a degree in IT in order to fix my car. You don't have to connect it to a laptop. I don't think it's got anywhere for a laptop to go. It's got no plug for an IT device to tell the mechanic what's wrong with it. The mechanic has to go and find out. And as there's only like about 3 moving bits, and apart from the actual steam engine that makes it go, then they love it. And he said, anything that goes wrong with this car, it'll cost you a couple of £100. But if it's a new car, with all that technological stuff in it, he says it'll be thousands. So I think the smart thing is to keep the old car and get rid of the new car, which broke the moment I bought it. But you know me, I never complain.
Stop whining.
0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Serena Farrow.
Scott Abbott on LBC.
Yeah! Dude!
0345 6060 973. So I told you I was going to tell you about the View from Abroad, which I think is instructive and educational. Anybody want to be educated?
No.
British Ambassador Kim Darroch's private comments about President Trump were not shocking for those in Washington, says the Washington Post, which for my money is the best newspaper in the world right now, or at least the best newspaper in the English language that I have read. It says, the overall opinion among much of the diplomatic elite in Washington is that the US president is inept and insecure, just as Darroch wrote. Trump's Secretary of State once even reportedly dubbed the president a moron. That's his own Secretary of State, calling the President of the United States a moron. What do you think about that, Melania?
I don't care.
Diplomats often trash their hosts, and it's often well-deserved. André-François Poncet, the French ambassador to Germany in 1935, wrote that Adolf Hitler was obstinate, stubborn, and mean to the point of madness. Yeah, that sounds about right. A massive leak of US diplomatic cables in 2011 featured one description of Italy's Silvio Berlusconi as feckless, vain, and ineffective. And you know what Silvio Berlusconi did when he found that out? He laughed. He just laughed it off, like a grown-up. What did Donald Trump do when he found out that somebody had been mean and nasty about him? Yes. Kim Darroch's resignation, or decision rather to resign, which he announced on Wednesday, was not a reflection of the severity of his comments. He might have used more measured language, aware that Trump was uniquely sensitive to criticism and that his messages were at risk of being leaked, especially given the bitter political conflicts back home in London. But nothing was set out of place for a diplomat in his position. If there is a breakdown in the diplomatic norms here, and yes, there is one, it didn't come from the British ambassador. What Darroch said in private about Trump's not unusual. What Trump's diplomats do in public is what really is shocking. And by extension, Trump himself. We've become inured to it. We've become immune. It's like if somebody just keeps hitting you over and over and over again, you become numb to it. In Berlin, one US ambassador openly undermines the government. Another in Amsterdam became a laughingstock for refusing to answer journalists' questions. Another in Jerusalem openly shows his bias in Israeli-Palestinian negotiations. From Kenya to New Zealand, the ambassadors appointed by Trump have offended their hosts. Ultimately, it comes from the top. Darroch's resignation reflects how much diplomacy has changed in the Trump era. This is a time of fighting words and fragile egos.
I'll bring us into war.
Trump's publicly called officials in other countries. See, this is a man that's complaining that somebody was mean and nasty to him. Which, by the way, was his job. That was our ambassador's job, to tell us at home what it's like over there, so that our diplomats and our civil servants and politicians can act accordingly. That's why he's there. That's what he's for. I mean, if he just said that everything was huge and tremendous and great, then we wouldn't need him there. We could just base our foreign policy on Donald Trump's Twitter feed, which I believe is what Boris Johnson is going to do.
Here we go. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Trump's publicly called officials in other countries very dishonest and weak, stone-cold losers, said they were foolish, short and fat, and claimed their citizens were turning against their leadership. He's told long, mysterious stories about how his friend is scared of Paris because of rising immigration. He's declined to shake hands with the German leader and has privately referred to poor nations as bleep hole countries. Very bad word that I can't say on the radio.
Disgusting.
Even though it's obligatory to say it on television after 9 p.m. Even the newsreaders are using that kind of language. You believe that?
No.
True to form, says the Washington Post, Trump responded to Derek's remarks, tweeting that he had been told the ambassador was a pompous fool and a very stupid guy. The United States, he declared, would no longer deal with him. I mean, just pause for a moment and imagine that Theresa May or David Cameron or Boris Johnson or Tony Blair or whoever, Churchill, any of our previous prime ministers, imagine them saying that the leader or the ambassador from another country was a very stupid guy and a pompous fool. You can't do it, can you? He is unique. Thank God there's only one of him.
Oh, shut up!
Washington is a topsy-turvy town where allies are treated worse than enemies, where private truths are worse than public lies. One European diplomat said the controversy broke open the poorly kept Washington secret that many allied governments, particularly in Europe, find the administration difficult to deal with, and their diplomats find that they are often walking on eggshells here. It's dysfunctional, the European diplomat said. Of course there are people you can work with and can talk to, but it's pretty difficult to say the least. Derek's resignation reflects not only a diplomatic crisis in Washington, but also one back home in London. In response to the ambassador's letter of resignation, Simon MacDonald, permanent Under-Secretary at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, offered support and sympathy. You were the target of a malicious leak. You were simply doing your job, he wrote. And Derek told friends he took the final decision to resign after he watched Boris Johnson refused to support him in a live television debate and failed to commit to keeping him in Washington. And then Boris Johnson went on TV 2 days later and said, "Oh, no, I didn't say that." Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. One Foreign Office minister said that Johnson had thrown our ambassador under a bus, and not one of those phony model buses that Boris is trying to convince us he makes all the time. Boris Johnson has pinned much of his hopes for Britain on future dealings with Donald Trump. That's where we are now. The future of this country lies in the forlorn hope that Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Donald Trump is not a nice person.
Yeah. I hate to break the news to you. The evidence is in. Katie in Sussex says, I can't tell you how much it frustrates me that Abbot and habit don't rhyme. It's causing me an enormous amount of distress, says Katie.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
It just depends how you say it, Katie. Abbot, Abbot. Abbot, Abbot. Well, no, you're right, they don't. Mosley. Eileen. No, that didn't work, did it? I'll have to hit it harder. There you go. Eileen.
Hi, Nick.
Eileen.
I'm in Moseley, in Birmingham.
Yes.
My point was, there's no point at all ever in having another ambassador to America while Trump's in power, because it'd be a waste of taxpayers' money, because we know what they'd say. They'd have to say, well, everything's wonderful and perfect, and, Otherwise they'd get the sack, wouldn't they?
Well, only if their remarks are released into the Twitter sphere.
Well, they'd always be worried, wouldn't they?
Well, yes,
really.
absolutely.
But
they can't. They can't function if they are if they're releasing information on the basis that it will become public, because their job is giving our politicians and our civil service here the correct information about how to act regarding that country. And if they and they can't do that if it's in public.
No. So and honestly, Nick, can I ask you something?
No.
Do you think? Oh, go on. Do you think they'd actually have the nerve to make Nigel Farage ambassador for this country?
Donald Trump has already instructed this country to do just that. He's also instructed us to choose the next prime minister based on his own weird predilections.
Yes, he has, hasn't he?
We're taking back control from Europe and giving it
to America.
Yeah.
Not that we ever didn't have control while we were in Europe.
Well, these are just facts, though, Eileen, and you understand that no one's interested in those anymore.
Oh, no, Nick, really, seriously, they can't do that. They can't make Nigel... I mean, it would just be unbearable. Surely there'll be riots in the streets, wouldn't there?
Well, which streets, here or there?
Here.
Right.
Possibly there too. I don't know.
Well, you see, now Boris Johnson should never have allowed those Waffensquirter 9000 German water cannon to be sold, because he's the moment he ascends to the top job, he'll probably need them to repel his supporters. Or they'll be chanting Boris, all right. Here, Eileen, I've got to go, but thanks a lot. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @LBC. Now, that word dysfunctional came up, and in relation to Donald Trump's presidency. But it was also used in relation to something a little closer to home, and I'll come to that in just a minute.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Buona serata, Peppo. Is that a name, or is that foreign for hello?
Hello.
It says, now you've been to Folkestone here in Kent, I also recommend Whitstable, Herne Bay and Broadstairs, that all have their own charm. Yeah, I'm up to my eyeballs in charm at the moment. Thanks a lot, Peppo. This says Trump does need a literacy intervention, and Sophie did the rest. This is about a call I took, at the beginning of the show. It seems like so long ago. And this one says, I realise what LBC stands for. Listen to Brian constantly. But the fellow that says, why are you so unpatriotic, Nick? I can't believe that he calls it more than my show. He's been playing away. I'm very disappointed.
Dreadful.
Chiswick. Hello, Julian.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to cut to the chase.
Cut to the chase.
I'm not ringing up about Brexit or rock and roll, because I'm with you all the way on your type of music. Listen, I've got a silly question, all right? My next, I'm sort of like up in the chat, yeah. Listen, my next door neighbour's got this bamboo growing, and it's everywhere, yeah. It's growing all out the place, and it's coming over into my garden, under my decking, everything. Listen, at this time of night, yeah.
Yes.
All right, it's dark. I've gone out there with a saw and clippers, and I've started cutting back, and I've dropped the saw in the garden and the clippers, and I don't get on with the neighbours. What do I do?
So you've dropped your tools in their garden?
Exactly. So my question is, changing the subject, what's your good advice? Do I jump over the fence into their garden and set off the alarm? I imagine they have an alarm in the garden. I don't know.
Now, when you say you don't get on with them, is it to the point that you can't actually speak to them at all?
No, they're sort of neighbours that don't like to discuss or You know when you try and make conversation, yeah, and they just don't want to.
Yeah, no, I get that for 3 hours on Friday and 3 hours on Saturday.
They'll hate it. I hate neighbours where you try and make conversation with them and they don't want to make conversation.
Okay, well then I think the short answer to happiness there, Julian, is don't make conversation with them.
Right, so what do I do about my tools?
Yeah, but it's not a conversation, it's just a simple question. Please, mister, can I have my saw back?
Do you reckon that's what it is? I knock on their door in the morning and say, I want my clippers and my saw back.
Yeah, but
and by the way, sort your bamboo out.
Yes. Not before 9 and not after 5. Or certainly not after 7.
Listen, do you want to ask me a question while I'm on the phone about Brexit? Or that's all everyone phones in for.
I'm glad you asked that, Julian. No, I don't. But thanks for asking. Very, very polite to have asked.
Be polite!
Now, that's the sort of question that Carol McGiffin and I would probably handle on our new podcast, which is called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? I'm not making it up. That's an actual thing. Now, it's not out yet, but we are recording them for release, and we want your questions, kind of like that. I mean, this is not a serious attempt to solve your personal and serious questions. We don't offer an alternative to psychiatric intervention, for instance, but we are open to answering your queries. And you can send them for our consideration, well, Carol's, really. I just do what she tells me. To the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's the email address, nickandcarol@global.com. If you want to send your problems to us, then we will try to get our heads around them on the podcast, which when it comes out, I'll tell you where to find it and when it is. But the thing will be called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol? It's Carol McGiffin and me together on a podcast, which I'm very excited about because we used to do a show together on LBC many, many, many moons ago. And it was proper funny. As is the podcast. The ones that we've done already are a good laugh. So I'll tell you when they're out. Trust me. But that email address again is nickandcarol@global.com. Send your problems there. We'll sort them out for you. Here's a call in Guildford. Peter.
Hello, Nick.
Peter.
Now we know what a bootlicker Boris Johnson's going to be with regard to Trump. I wonder how long it's going to be if there's a conflict with Iran. How long it's going to be before we join them.
We've done that already. Again. We're already joining them.
Yeah.
And it had pressures to do with Boris Johnson. It seems like the entire country is lining up behind Donald Trump and his enmity towards his mystifying enmity towards Iran. I think he's upset with them because Obama, his saner, more successful predecessor, signed a deal with Iran. Well, as did we. And he wants to undo everything that Obama did.
Yeah, that's right. And another thing as well, Nick, is what will happen if, Trump is like a baby, he's so thin-skinned. Yeah. What is going to happen when he does find out about what Boris has called him in the past? There was a Trump supporter on Channel 4 News the other night, and Christian Guru Murphy pointed out to this astonished Trump supporter, did you know what Boris called him? And he had no idea, and he looked absolutely stunned. Now, how long is it going to be? How long is it going to be before we have not just a diplomatic incident, but we have a war between the Prime Minister and the President of the United States because of these babyish ways? But
if Donald Trump ever hears it, he's going to be on the first plane over to punch Boris Johnson in the face.
Yeah, he will. But when you think, I just can't believe where we are at, Nick, because It really is insane now.
It's hard to believe it, and it's hard to say it as well, isn't it? Where we are at. Try saying that 10 times. I double
Why
dare
do
you.
you think? Why do you think that we've got? How we've got into this kind of madness, backing people. I know we don't have a vote, but backing people that have caused many of the problems we've got today themselves in the past.
Well, I'm glad that you gave me 2.5 minutes before the news to answer that wide-ranging question. But I think in a nutshell, it's that people over the last 50 years have really flatlined. Their income has flatlined while the expense of life has skyrocketed. And so people in the top 1% have done fantastically well because they have been in a position to award themselves pay rises in much the same way as our politicians used to and really still do. The rest of us, the 99%, haven't really shared in any of the spoils that have been created since the 1970s. And it's sort of come to the point at which people are just fed up with it. And the usual politicians will say the usual things, and they recognise those sayings as something that hasn't worked in the past. And so now they just want to throw their lot in with whoever is going to shout the loudest and tell them what they want to hear, which is something which, and don't make it complicated, boil it down to feelings. And that's precisely what Donald Trump does. In that respect, he's a genius. He just tells his base...
I love the poorly educated.
...that everything is going to be huge and tremendous and great. And they think, wow, why has nobody said that before? That's exactly my kind of language. I want things to be huge and tremendous and great, they say.
What's amazing, though, Nick, is they turn to people that have brought this situation about. And someone like Corbyn, who wants to create a fairer society, whatever people think of him, is regarded as crazy.
As an enemy of the people.
A man not to be, yeah. And it really is it's successful in that they've been successful, the establishment, if you like, in managing to convince the people that the politicians that really are trying to represent them and create a better are the ones that they shouldn't be going for, and the same old people that are privileged should be the one they carry on.
Yes,
continuum all the time.
Yeah, that's what this country needs. Another old Etonian at the helm.
Yeah, it is. It's just keeping the status quo, what we've had for about 40 years under Labour and Tory governments, you know. It's just the same, and yet people don't seem to say, well, I've got a miserable life, but I want to vote for something that's fairer.
Yeah,
they vote for a man who's got no principles.
Yeah, I've got a miserable life, so I want to go. I'm going to back billionaires because they're bound to be nice to me.
That's right.
Yeah, it's billionaire. It's the billionaire class that brought us Donald Trump and Brexit, and it's appealing to the exact same feeling in the exact same demographic, who I suppose, unless we're completely wrong about the super rich, I'd imagine that in the fullness of time they will be disappointed in the outcome. But you know, that's later. We can look forward to our disappointment later. Thanks, Peter. Talking of war, by the way, less jaw, more war. I'll talk about that in a minute.
I'll bring us into war.
With Nick Abbot.
Anybody care what this guy's doing?
Okie dokie.
0345 6060 973. Andy in Bermondsey says the Boris bike, the Boris bus, the Boris bridge, the Boris Brexit. What next? The Boris batastrophe. And Patrick in Guildford says, fancy a day at the seaside you'll never forget. How about some bees on the Cumbria coast? Stuck out in the coldest stretch of the Irish Sea, this inhospitable outpost of holiday punishment was a true feat of stamina and the furthest north I'd ever taken a swim. The beach is gritty, the seaweed smells of rotten cabbage, and the water's full of jellyfish the size of family cars. Make sure you phone your next of kin before you visit, says Patrick. Good advice to keep in mind. Thanks a lot, Patrick. St. Bees, you say. I'll strike it off my holiday list. Now, Dysfunctional. That's a word that's been coming up a lot, mostly in relation to the administration of the bright orange baby in the White House.
Oh, shut up!
But it has also been levelled at our own administrators. I'll come to that in a minute. First of all, here's a very important call in Uxbridge. Lewis.
Good morning, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. My company is actually called Dysfunctional. It means not operating or not working properly.
Yeah.
And the idea of that is a complaints handling company, meaning if you've got any issues that need to be resolved in terms of complaints handling, the Consumer Rights Act 2015, I can adhere to your issues. Now, I have to say one thing.
If anybody has any complaints...
Stop whining.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to something today about Tommy Robinson, and I think he's an absolute idiot.
Okay. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Of course not, but, I never know what you're talking about. I just like to call you.
Mm.
But would you agree that journalism is something...
Yes, I would. I do agree that journalism is something, and that is my very strong opinion. Thanks for asking. Please call again. This says, do you have a favourite seaside town to visit in North Wales? My favourite is Beaumaris. Beaumaris? Beaumaris. Looks like a foreign French word to me. Beaumaris. Beaumaris. It says the castle has a moat that only goes halfway round. Really? Because nobody would go round the back? Apparently they've demolished and rebuilt Rill Sun Centre. It's now huge and tremendous and great, says Kath. I seriously doubt that, although I believe that Prestatyn is a delight on the eye. That's what I hear. 0345 6060 973. Is that guy still hanging on? I think we can safely get rid of him now. I have no idea what he was talking about. I bet he didn't either. Britain has failed to make meaningful progress towards, get ready, grip onto something firm, you're not going to like it. This is the Super Soaraway Daily Telegraph. The champion of Brexit and Trump and Boris and all things right-wing. So it must really pain them to write this. Britain has failed to make meaningful progress towards a free trade deal with the United States of America.
Oh, no.
Yes. It's due to what they say, chronic staffing shortages and communication breakdowns in Whitehall.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Yeah, communication breakdown like Led Zeppelin.
Rock and roll!
Details of meetings spanning 2 years show how overstretched departments have been working at cross purposes as transatlantic talks have repeatedly stumbled over politically sensitive topics such as rules on health, the finance industry and farming. Officials have begun to fear that American frustration with the lack of agreement or even partial agreement could end hopes of a post-Brexit partnership envisaged at the centre of a global Britain trade strategy. Like we don't already trade with the world. I love these people who talk as though once we leave the EU, finally we'll be able to trade with the world. We do that already. Now, you think that a trade deal... No, not you personally, of course. Somebody stupider than you thinks that a trade deal with America will be really easy. Probably because Donald Trump said that. Or some other really bright person.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
But it isn't. Trade deals aren't easy because what one side wants, the other side doesn't, and vice versa. And it just takes forever to sort out. It's not done over a lunch. 2 years we've been going at this now, trying to get some kind of a deal with the United States of America done. And you can't sign it while we're a member of the EU, but we can certainly, lay the groundwork. And apparently, after 2 years, we've got nothing to show for it. Zero. Officials have begun to fear that America is getting frumpy with us. It could end our hopes of a huge trade deal with them. And when people say that, they presumably don't understand that we already trade more with America than any other country at very low tariffs. And it's hard to imagine what we don't already trade with them. People keep talking about trade with America as though we've never done that before. In one message, a British diplomat warns that this week's visit to Washington, D.C. by Liam Fox, the Trade Secretary, could look like a bit of a desperate bid to demonstrate progress. Well, what was desperate and I thought nationally shameful was Liam Fox reporting the apology of Her Majesty's government to Ivanka Trump, Donnie's daughter. I mean, did Liam Fox have to wait till she had her hair and nails done before he was granted an audience? Or did he have to be bag carrier on a shopping trip? Maybe he helped her pick out some shoes. This is our glorious future. Turning our back on the biggest free trade bloc on earth, in which we had a big voice, to prostrate ourselves in front of Donald Trump's offspring in the hope that Donnie will do us a favour. Thank goodness we've taken back control. We're going to be pinning our hopes on a huge and tremendous trade deal with Donald Trump, the world's least reliable human being. Have we lost our minds? We're selling our place at the table for a place under the table, waiting for scraps off our master's plate. The cache of correspondence and memos about our inability to organise a trade deal with America shows gradually rising concern among officials about Britain's ability to conduct such complex negotiations. Rising concern? I'd say the concern has risen about as far as it can go. I mean, after 3 years, we're still fighting like rats in a sack about the deal that we've negotiated with the EU. It's brought down 2 prime ministers so far, and will quite likely do for the next one too. Rising concern that we're not up to the job. Even in the earliest talks, said the Telegraph, the UK struggled to keep pace with the US negotiators. But probably because we're not good at it. We haven't had to do any negotiations of this manner for a good long while because the experts at the EU have been handling it for us. And we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Not even a jot do we appreciate it. But our ineptitude is being brought home to us. 2 vitally important negotiations have been going on not in concert with each other, but at the same time. And we've screwed up both of them. But apart from that, how's things going?
Oh, fabulous.
The shift, it says, which occurred in July, reflected Britain's inability to get the right people in the room. This shift in the opinion of British negotiating expertise in America. The Americans don't think very much about what they're seeing. And they don't think that we can get the right people in the room. This is according to correspondence that's been seen by the Daily Telegraph. It came despite a Whitehall red amber alert, which sounds alarming, which signalled a risk of failure and warned the discussions were rapidly falling behind schedule. There's a schedule? A red amber alert.
Warning, warning.
British officials blamed the bureaucratic missteps on a lack of communication between key trade departments of business, energy, industrial and strategy, and the Department for International Trade, the Foreign Office, the Department for the Environment and Rural Affairs, and the Treasury. There aren't any other departments. That's all of them. So, apart from those, how are we doing?
Dreadful.
Yeah. So there's a lack of communication between the departments of business, energy, industrial and strategy, the Department for International Trade, the Foreign Office, the Department for the Environment and Rural Affairs, and the Treasury. That doesn't leave much, does it? Changes to the Brexit schedule have also resulted in most able civil servants being shunted around crucial roles, compounding the instability. Holy moly, if this country was a ship, we'd be racing for the lifeboats. Boris Johnson and women first. The documents seen by the Telegraph reveal how negotiations with the US are forcing ministers and officials to confront the difficult choices of life outside the EU. This is getting more and more painful for the Telegraph writers to put down in print, because they are all behind Brexit. In fact, their new masthead is, "We just want Brexit." One email dated last month warned that the British plans to make Silicon Valley giants pay more tax risked a roadblock in trade negotiations.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The government aims to impose a digital services tax that will target Google and Facebook, amongst others, but faces pressure from the US Trade Department, which means Donald Trump himself. Documents show that throughout trade discussions, American officials have sought to draw Britain out of the EU's sphere of influence as they sought to influence the post-Brexit legal system. American officials actually said it's easier to change a regulation before it's finalised. So America is now telling us who our next Prime Minister should be, telling us who our next ambassador to the US should be, and trying to influence our own laws. Taking back control. Senior EU sources said that they were concerned that Britain could become a pawn in US disputes with Brussels. They also warned that adopting US standards in areas such as food and medicine would have a knock-on effect, closing off parts of the EU's single market for British companies. We are being hung out to dry here. The UK has a crucial choice to make in terms of where its own preferences lie, such as on US food standards and the EU regulatory approach to risk, said one senior EU official. You want chlorinated chicken and steroidal beef. Well, I'll go further. You want to look like Americans do, or do you want to look like the Italians do? Select. The desire for a US trade deal among British politicians, including Tory leadership frontrunner Boris Johnson, does not guarantee one will be signed, says the Telegraph. Joe Owen, the director of the Institute for Government's Brexit programme, warned it was doubtful that Whitehall had the capacity to manage conflicting demands from the US and the EU on trade. We're going to have to pick one of them. We're going to have to pick either the very reliable European Union, with whom we have a strong and long-lasting relationship, or the demented, whining baby that's currently the President of the United States of America, who does his nut when people stop flattering him. The risk is big policy decisions get made by the UK based on US demands for a free trade deal, rather than thinking about what the UK's requirements are first and reconciling them with the US. So you could end up with a back-to-front approach, says the director of the Institute for the Government's Brexit programme. A senior MEP told the Telegraph that the UK would be easy pickings for America. That's not the communist socialist Guardian writing that. That's the Telegraph. Still, could be worse. I suppose we could be on fire right now. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC.
The Bat.
Well, let's get back to it.
And it, in this case, is Colin Hadley. Hello, Rob.
Oh, hello.
Yes, Rob.
Hello. Does it sound all right? Because I'm on speakerphone.
You sound just fine.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, they called me back because they said they wanted to speak. Basically, what it is, I was talking to. I'm an artist, musician, and all that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
But to supplement or whatever, I'm a bricklayer.
You're a bricklayer, an artist, and a musician.
But you got to have a plan B. So I'm a bricklayer and stuff, and all sorts, general builder.
Right. If the fantasy of being a bricklayer doesn't work out, you can always fall back on being an artist.
Well, there's no chance for that.
Right.
Considering, I think it was last year's, the Royal Academy, the winner was of a sleeping bag full of rubbish. So, I've got no chance there.
Well, the Turner, is that the Turner Prize? A sleeping bag full of rubbish won the Turner Prize last year.
No, the Royal Academy. It won the most distinguished work. It was a sleeping bag full of concrete and rubbish.
Unaware of that. I must have missed that. Huh.
Yeah, it's 25,000 they won.
Right.
And I applied this year. I spent 3 years on a carving I've done, and then when I saw last year's prize, I wish I hadn't applied.
Well, if you throw it in a skip, you could tell them that that's your artwork.
I could do, but it'd probably be too heavy for you wouldn't be able to apply because it'd be too heavy for the. You wouldn't be able to sort of put it in because the weight would be too much.
Oh, yeah. Not heavy as in... Groovy. You mean heavy as in weight? I understand.
Yeah, I think the maximum was, I don't know, a few 100 kilos or something like that. Even though I was thinking about just sort of making a carving out of a bit of polystyrene to the exact maximum sizes they allow.
Yeah.
And making it the exact weight, and then putting that in as a piece of artwork. So it was the exact weight, the exact sizes, and it was perfect.
Or better still, Rob, you could just imagine. You could imagine yourself doing that and put the imaginary artwork in, and that seems like a winner to me.
Idea.
Yeah, excellent.
Because it would. It'd save me loads of work.
Well,
it?
I want you to imagine the artwork and construct it, either imaginary or otherwise, and put it in, and we'll split it 50-50. What do you say?
No, I thought of it first.
Well, that's the best offer I can give you, Rob. I'd take it if I were you. But anyway, what did you call about?
Well, you got some influence, I suppose. So, So anyway, that was not bad, but I was glad anyway because the sculptures were probably a couple of 100 kilos, and I do really fancy taking to the second round and getting turned down anyway. So
yeah, you'd be hard pushed to get that on the tube. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, what did you call about? Surely not that.
They rang me back because basically I've got a young chap working with us today. He's obviously trying to get out of troubles. It's a bit of a sad story, really.
Well, then we don't wish to hear it.
He's in his 20s, and basically all the youngsters have been cut their housing benefit, haven't they? They can't get a housing benefit from 17 to 21. Is that correct?
I've got no idea, if you say so.
Anyway, and he was just telling me that basically, sort of people he knows, because he's 20, and they're sort of 17, 21-year-olds, a lot of them are just selling drugs and sort of beating up their rivals to pay the rent.
Right.
Because they're not getting any benefits. So thanks, Tories.
Okay. Is that really the only alternative? If you don't get benefits, then you have to go on a criminal spree. Huh. Yeah, thanks, Tories. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers for the bad news, Rob. Thanks a lot, mate. Hope that artistic thing works out for you. There ain't no money in art unless you become really famous. I think fame, really, you know, when the kids say, I want to be famous, and old people decry that wish, it's old people that are wrong, because fame really is the most important thing in the modern world. You don't have to be good at anything. You don't have to know anything. Well, we know that you don't have to know anything because, look who's the leader of the free world.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
He lied. All you need to do is to be successful in any field is be famous. I mean, the most successful artists in this country the last, let's say, 20 years, are they actually any good at what most reasonable people would call art?
No.
No. You ever seen Damien Hirst's paintings? They are, well, what's a polite way of saying really bad? He took over the Wallace collection quite a few years ago now, and he put up his paintings of course, they had to be skulls.
Boring.
Ugh. And he lined the walls with silk. Must have cost a fortune. And the wall covering was better than the paintings that he pinned on them. They were just, well, they were embarrassing. But he's the most successful British artist, I think, ever, isn't he? In history, as far as, the money, honey, is concerned. No, you don't have to be particularly good at anything. All you have to do is be famous. That's all. So take that advice and run with it, Rob. And I wish you all the best. Sheila in Cockfosters announces that she is now 74 years old. Well done, Sheila. You made it. And Simon in Windsor says, like you, I like to visit seaside towns for the day rather than go on holidays. Whatever you do, don't do Margate. It looked good when Only Fools and Horses went there on TV. If you do, don't mention you voted Remain. Says Simon in Windsor. Right, okay. Cancel my trip to Margate. I can't go to Margate. It's too far away. It's around the corner, isn't it? It's not on the south coast. It's on the east coast. No. Plus, you might bump into Tracy. There is the very real possibility that you might bump into Tracy Emin. Let's have a call in Durham. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Nick.
Elizabeth.
Yes, I'm talking about your friend Brian from Stockton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, he lives very close to the seaside town of Hartlepool. And it is a fact that during the war, either the first or the second, they hung a monkey, believing it to be a spy. No, this is truth. I live 30 miles from Stockton, and I'm ashamed of this man, by the way. But I think that's his mindset. I think they believe in all sorts of things there, and Brian seems to be of that mindset. So perhaps the next time he comes on air, you could ask him about that.
So what was the process of putting the monkey through a trial, or did they even bother with that? They just went straight to the execution.
I'm not sure of all the facts. I only know that people say, don't mention hanging the monkey if you go to Hartlepool. Because it was a fact they did hang a monkey.
Right.
Now, why it happened, perhaps Brian knows. I don't know exactly why, except that it is a fact. And all that, as he likes to say. On the end of every sentence. And all that, Nick.
Yes.
That's what he does.
So they
Anyway.
they hang monkeys in Hartlepool.
They hung a monkey.
Right.
Believing the monkey to be a spy.
Well, the stuff you learn on this show. It's an education,
I
ain't it?
about the ferrets, too.
Huh. Okay, well, keep investigating, Elizabeth. And
I shall.
I want a full report
The thing
on
is,
my desk first thing in the
I never
morning.
knew to call, except Brian comes on, and then I feel
And then
compelled.
you're
to
moved,
pick up the
yes.
phone.
Right, well, I'm glad you did. Thanks a lot, Elizabeth. Wow. Educational, isn't it? Every now and again, almost by accident. We've all learnt something today. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Of course, one thing we haven't even mentioned yet is the war. Don't mention the war. I mentioned it once, but I think I got away with it. Though I might. We're being shunted into a war with Iran. Donald Trump's just cast his beady eye around, and he's picked Iran. You win, Iranian people. Congratulations. So I might come to that in a minute. 0345 6060 973. Friday and Saturday night at 10, Nick Abbot, LBC. The news headlines at 12:30 with Serena Farrow.
Scotland.
You're wondering what it's all about, and I can't tell you because I don't know myself.
This says the mystery monkey. When directly elected mayors were launched in the 2000s, a man in a monkey suit the mascot for the local football club, won the mayoralty, beating the Labour favourite on a manifesto of free bananas for school children. This man, Stuart Drummond, then took off the suit and re-elected, being the first elected mayor in the country to win 3 terms, thus better than Ken or Boris. And the monkey got hanged hundreds of years ago. They thought it was a French spy, says Mike. Stuart in Loughton, meanwhile, says the local football team of Hartlepool, their mascot is a monkey, and the person who dresses as the monkey got voted in as mayor twice, which sounded like the same story again. So it must be true. This says the monkey was hanged during the Napoleonic Wars, not the First or the Second World War, as your caller stated. Huh. Misinformation. Liar! Brian, formerly from West Hartlepool, the bit that didn't hang the monkey. Oh, right, so innocent then? Innocent of all charges? Sounds pretty guilty to me. Let's have a call in Paddington. Ali.
Hi.
Ali.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah. For how long, okay, are we going to... I was in the States the other day, and they have no clue what this Brexit story is about. The people are all confused about it, and I sort of it's the same in London or in England. And why are we looking so stupid and being used by the Americans like a lapdog? It's just ridiculous. Okay, why are they dictating to us at this end? I mean, it's really, we have no power anymore in the international market. To just get even a visa to the for the Americans to come to the UK, they don't need it. And for us, we have to even apply for a visa. It just shows on the world stage we're looking silly. Honest to God's truth. And this clown who's in power in the States, the people hate him. I mean, I was sitting in a restaurant in Virginia, and the moment he came on, the people start swearing at him on in the restaurant and putting their fingers up at him, and he's on TV. So he's not loved there very much. I have to be very honest with you.
Now, are you talking about Boris Johnson or Donald Trump?
I've had lunch with Boris Johnson. He's a clever chap, but I don't like him as a leader. He doesn't make sense to me at all, you know. But Donald Trump, what a joke. I mean, where are the world leaders at this moment in time? They're all gone. There's no real world leaders anymore anywhere. And now we're going to be taken into another war or somewhat kind of threat on Iran, and it makes no sense whatsoever. This whole game that's being played, and we're being played like a harp to follow whatever America says. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it. That seems like what's happening to me. It's actually worse than that, because you think, is Donald Trump actually coming up with the American policy himself, or, as has been reported many, many times, does he base his policy on whatever he just saw on Fox News? And if there's even a scintilla of truth in that, then it's less that Donald Trump is the President of the United States of America and the leader of the free world, and more that Rupert Murdoch is.
I think it's even more scary because he's going to win the second term as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Looking at the stats on it when I was out there, and I was talking to people in D.C. and traveling New York and all the rest of it, everybody doesn't like him, but somebody behind him that's pulling the strings really will have him in power again. And the way that he can say anything and force it upon everybody, and they have to accept it, and the arrogance is unbelievable. I mean, I really felt sorry for the Queen, that she had to be doing him. Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about the Queen. She talks to unpleasant people for a living.
No, she's cool on the way she handles it, but to be honest with you, I just think that we're going in the wrong direction completely. And Brexit, the way we've handled it, on an international stage, it really is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is a little bit embarrassing, yeah. If it wasn't...
You know how much money we're losing every month? I mean, I've got friends of mine in the city. They've pulled out something like about 5 billion out of the UK market. And a lot of companies, when I was talking to one of the chaps, it's over 200 billion a month we've been losing on foreign, just money leaving the country. And they don't talk about this.
Well, it is interesting when people say, you know, where people point to the FTSE 100 and they say, look, the economy is doing tremendously well. And they seem to forget that the FTSE 100 are giant international companies that are outward facing. They sell abroad. They do trade abroad in pounds. So because the pound has crashed, their products are cheap. So yes, they're doing well. But if you look at the stock market for companies that are inward facing, that are selling stuff made for the British market, they're doing terribly.
Of course, because it's a sad state of affairs. But the worst part about it is that we're all in debt to China. I mean, we're talking trillions, okay? And the people don't realize that how much money England owes to China. If China turned around tomorrow and said, right, can I have my money back from America and England? We're all in trouble. It's like, But
it's ditto if the Americans ask for their money back, because we owe a considerable amount of the trillions that we are actually in debt to either American institutions or, more worryingly, families.
Absolutely, and I think our banking institutes, the people who are operating everything at this end, they're not doing a fancy job completely. I mean, people, when I listen to the politicians talking, people are really suffering. Okay, and I mean, they're finding it very hard to balance the books at the end of the month, and on a daily scenario, lots of people, they're in trouble, and I just think to myself, where are they all? Where are their heads? I mean, are these people who are supposed to be representing us? Why aren't they doing a fantastic? They're elected from our call to serve us, and they're not doing the job right at all.
But I think that politics has become, maybe it always was, but it's a very, very short-term game. You don't, as a politician, act in the best interest of the country in the long term, because people aren't prepared to wait for the benefits in the long term. They want immediate, right now. We've become, or rather, we haven't actually grown up past a yearning for immediate gratification, kind of like a baby. We haven't actually reached puberty yet as a society.
I think, I bumped into the late Tony Benn one time in a religious place, and he said to me, do you know which religion is the most popular religion? And I said to him, it's Islam or Christianity? And he said, no, it's money. Everybody seems to be worshipping it, and they're all chasing it. And this materialistic system that we've come to, we've lost our values. And as people, the other day I opened the door for someone, and they were like absolutely grateful. And if you smile or say good morning to someone, they think you're absolutely mad. And I have the American ambassador as my neighbor, for the different ones all over the years, for like almost 37 years when I was living in St. John's Wood. And I can honestly tell you, times have changed, and people and their attitudes are completely different compared to before. I'm a very optimistic person, but I've come across very negative now, because after traveling and seeing what's going on, England needs to wake up. There's a brilliant opportunity here in the UK. At the moment, I'm trying to bring large companies back into the UK market for longevity, but they're all a bit apprehensive, because they're thinking, who are the leaders? Who are the people calling the shots? And we don't seem to have them, unfortunately, at this moment. And if Boris Johnson comes into power, okay, I honestly don't understand how that should be. But if we look at his great-grandfather, he used to be he was kicked out of Turkey or something. And I don't see how Nigel Farage can help us. He claims to be all for UK, but I don't know. It's a bit confusing with all these types of people in charge, and it's not very good for us as people of the UK. It's terrible, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, well, cheer up, Ali. It might never oh, no, that's right. It already has.
It really has.
Okay, thanks a lot for bringing us down. This is supposed to be a happy show.
No. It's you know what it is. It's let's be real. Is the right
reality? No thanks.
Reality. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ali. 0345 6060 973. Is everybody happy? You bet your life we're not. This message says Nigel Farage could have a great deal done already. That's what it says. Nigel Farage could have a great deal done already. That makes as much sense as anything else we've heard tonight. Lucas says the recent deal between Mercosur, the countries in South America, and the EU took 20 years of negotiations. Can you imagine 20 years of Brexit? Yes, I can. St Bees is a lovely place, says Frank in Egremont. Robert Plant occasionally stays at the Seacoast Hotel. I very much doubt that. He says, plus Super Hartley's ice cream. No adverts, but it's probably made out of milk and other stuff. Robert Plant stays at the Seacoast Hotel. Well, I've got no information one way or the other whether that's true, but it doesn't prevent me from having a strong opinion. And this says, love your summary and slating of Brexit shambles, Brexit chaos, Brexit mess, and our country reduced to total desperation. Says that anonymous texter. Well, that sounds like treason talk to me. Mess? What mess? 0345 6060 973. Let's take a call in Birmingham. Hello, Shirley. No, that didn't work. I didn't hit it hard enough. One moment. There you go. Shirley.
Oh, hi, Nick. Yeah, I'm phoning because on the BBC with Laura Kutzenberg and Theresa May, she's announced she's creating a department for inequality.
She's going to work on making things more unequal.
To help transgender and blah, blah, blue. It sounds like Tony Blair, he was made the Middle East peacemaker.
Yeah. Tony Blair. I remember Tony Blair.
No! he was also given, he might still have it, he's got a job at Europe as the European Race Equality for Harmony in Community.
Oh, are you kidding? He's got more jobs than George Osborne.
Yeah, so she's got a government department for inequality she's creating.
Well, she's created an enormous amount of inequality during her stint at the top. So your work is done, Theresa. Put your feet up. Kick your clown shoes off. You deserve it.
Because you had to call people are not getting housing benefits, so all they can do is sell sex and drugs.
Yes. Yeah. I put myself on the open market to sell me as a sexual proposition, but nobody would return my call. Can you believe that?
Living here in Birmingham, you've heard of White D, who lived opposite the jail, and she appeared in a programme called Benefit Street, and she had a friend, Fun Guy, but he's died because his benefits were stopped. He was given $200 a month and no rent payment, and he's now died.
Well, that's an unhappy story. If only I'd known that's where we were going, I'd have stopped you sooner.
Oh, sorry, you only want happy stories. just to say that this universal credit, nobody's getting their money. But I'll tell you a funny story about universal.
Well, wait a minute. Universal credit. How can it be universal if no one's getting it?
Yeah, because, it used to be housing benefit and they've given a brand new name.
Right.
And it means you don't get the old housing benefit, you got your rent paid. Universal credit, you get no rent payment.
Right, so they're taking the money and they're just throwing it into the universe where it just disappears on a solar wind.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick funny story about universal credit.
A funny story about universal credit. Does anybody actually believe that this is going to be funny?
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this came through on one of the other DJs. It may have been, what's that fella called? James O'Brien.
You and James O'Brien, yeah.
Yeah, there's a rapper called Drill Master, and he's running for Mayor of Greenwich. Everybody knows Mayor for London, but the little part of London called Greenwich, they're going to have their own mayor, and he's running for that. And he drilled a song, a rap song, saying, Theresa May, he is a killer. This was the song. He is killing everybody with universal credit. The man Theresa May is killing everybody with...
Point of order. I've noticed a factual error in that beautiful song that you've just given us, what is, I'm sure, a perfect rendition of. But as far as I'm aware, Theresa May is not a man. Maybe you want to call that nice Mr. Drill and set him straight.
Yeah, and he said, spoke about LBC and James O'Brien.
In a song?
You could, yeah. Maybe you could Google him. I don't know whether he's won the mayor.
I'll do that straight away. Yeah.
Has he won the mayorship of Greenwich?
That sounds like you're giving me homework, Shirley. But, miss, it's the weekend.
Yeah, so the government is upsetting people because there's also problems like no pension. No, women have not got a pension. Nobody's got a pension because of universal credit.
I'm not sure that's entirely accurate, but...
in the sense that under the old system of disability allowance and job seekers allowance, you got a payment towards your pension.
Right.
Under universal credit, no payment is made to your pension.
Right. Whatever the question is, the universal answer is no.
Yeah. So anybody on universal credit gets no payment for their pension. If they were on the old job seekers allowance, a payment went for the pension.
You know, that fellow that called up with that mystifying call. I was trying to think of another word for call, but I couldn't. That fellow that called up with that mystifying call about the lack of everything that you just said about, you used to go down the dole office and sign the UB40 and used to get your money. Yeah. And people used to just lie about in their bedsits and make songs and art and stuff like that. And I think that it used to be, I think one of the reasons that we have always punched above our weight as far as art goes in this country, music and stuff like that, is that it used to be the case that you could do nothing for a living. Now that people are working 2 jobs just to pay the rent, they haven't got no time to be a musician or an artist or any of those things. And so you find that the people that have come out of this country doing like rock music, for instance, lately, all of the successful ones, they're all posh boys who had the ability to not do anything because they had money behind them. Whereas poor kids, they're doing 2-3 jobs and delivering other people's food for a living, so they haven't got any time to be musicians. So in the future, we're probably going to have to listen to, French music. Boring. Ugh.
Or the record company's back catalogues. That's what they tend to do.
Fortunately, we do have the back catalogues.
Rock and roll.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to have to go, Shirley, but thanks for that. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC. Friday and Saturday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
Coming up at 1 on LBC. This is LBC with Nick Abbott. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Come on, we're running late!
Here's a call in Tunbridge. Hello, Sarah.
Oh, hi. Yes, I heard some very despondent news day before yesterday, I believe. I just couldn't quite get my head around this.
Sarah, are you in a funk of despondency?
I certainly am. I mean, how could you not be when you've got all these morons who rule over us?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the morons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this makes it even more depressing. I mean, next week we will know who is going to be our new leader.
Mm-hmm.
And those who actually have the vote, there was a survey done, I think it was 4 days ago, YouGov. 54% of those Tories think Trump would make a great prime minister for us.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Yeah, really? 54%.
Think Donald Trump?
Yes. I don't know how the question was posed, but yeah, they I couldn't. God knows how much lower can we go? What is wrong with these Tories?
There wasn't another YouGov poll. I didn't see that statistic. That would have made me fall off my seat. But there is this one. It was also YouGov. It was also a couple of days ago. It says, if Boris Johnson becomes Prime Minister, do you think that he should or should not resign if he does not deliver Brexit by the 31st of October?
And what did they say?
They were the Conservatives were uncommitted. The Labour Party supporters, 64% said that he should resign. 64%. To 14% said he shouldn't resign. But the Conservative and Lib Dems were similarly split like that. He should resign, 58%. 10% said he should stay on. But the Conservative Party, they didn't express a strong opinion either way. 38% said he should resign. 39% said he shouldn't resign. So what that tells me is that they're not really bothered either way. They just want Boris.
And, I presume if they had what would be interesting is if they were then asked, as 54% actually think Trump would be a good idea, if they had to choose between the guy I personally now call Doris Box Painter, because again I couldn't believe when he how can you mock your public? I mean, all those dedicated Tories going to listen to him with one of these hustings, and he was asked, what is do you have a hobby?
Yeah.
And he does his arm, his humming and ahhing. Yeah. Oh God, it's so tedious that. And to actually say that I paint boxes with happy faces on.
I think that it's because he has never had a hobby apart from once. This is a guess on my part, but apart from once when he was a very, very small child, one time he drew a bus on the side of a cornflakes packet or something like that. And
but any sane person would say, well, I like, or gardening, or
or reading.
I do like reading.
Yeah,
I do a lot of writing.
Gazing at myself in the mirror, that kind of thing.
I mean, what is going to actually happen to us? This is what I'm worried about. And what with now we joining in, of course, because we're their lapdog. Apologies to dogs. Are we going to have World War III? God knows we've mixed it so much. I looked at a map that is a card. I don't know if you've seen it, with the map of Iran, and with 27 bases going around Iran with American flags.
Yeah, all pointing their guns at the same target. Yeah.
And the card is quite jokey. It says, the problem is you've put Iran too near our bases. And
well, it's the funny side of World War III, Sarah.
Well, but what is so frightening is, I mean, I was born 1 month after the last war, but all my life I've heard about that bloody war, how we won it, we won that war.
Yeah.
That's why we can go it alone. And
the Russians had nothing, nothing to do with it, the Russians.
Exactly. Yeah. The fact that Hitler chose to turn his eye suddenly on the Russians, and they lost 20 million because we.
No, but don't lose sight of the fact, Sarah, that we won the war on our own.
And the Americans only came in because of Pearl Harbor. Before that, because they have so many, German descent.
Yeah,
they weren't sure which side they were going to go on.
Well, they didn't want to get into it, until they were forced to do so. Yes, Sarah, I'm going to have to go, but thanks for that. Cheer up, dear. It might never happen. And if World War III happens, well, we'll just make the best of it, eh?
I'll bring us into war.
Now, if you stick around, I do believe that Steve Allen will set you straight at 5 o'clock. I'll be back at 10 this evening to chew up and spit out whatever happens in the meantime. And until then, it's Matt Stadlen.
Nick, we've got an incredibly busy and lively show this morning, but first up I want to ask you whether you have heard that British politics is in fact broken now?
It would be undiplomatic of me to say.
What do you make of the fact that Donald Trump called our ambassador a very stupid person, and Boris Johnson didn't offer the ambassador, now our former ambassador to Washington, his full and unequivocal support, Nick?
I make a toy bus with it and paint happy people on the upper deck. That's what I make with it.
And did you paint any letters on the outside of the bus?
I painted some numbers.
That's very, very good news indeed to hear. Well, we've got a busy show, as I say, and first up, what do you make of Boris Johnson?